Hey guys, what is up? How is everyone doing? So I hear it all the time and I see comments, where people basically are struggling with acne and they get that piece of advice, which is you should try a vegan diet. Now, a vegan diet, the reason why it works so well for some people with their skin is because firstly, you cut out dairy. Now, if you haven't heard me speak about dairy and acne, I'll quickly give you the kind of key points here. It contains something called insulin growth factor 1, which firstly can be very disruptive to our blood sugar levels, but from an acne perspective, it can really increase inflammation, increase sebum production, and it can also stimulate our androgen secretion as well, so like our testosterone and male sex hormones. And all of those is like the perfect storm for acne, basically. Now, the second thing with a vegan diet is obviously you don't eat any meat, any kind of animal produce. And, from a skin's perspective and a body's perspective, we've got some great benefits of that. One, the reduced amount of saturated fat, because there's a lot of saturated fat, especially in red meats, which also in high levels can create a lot of inflammation in the body. You've also got the hormone aspect. Produce is, more now than ever is pumped with, all of these kind of unnecessary things because we've got this mass farming, production going on out there. So you can find antibiotics being pumped into our food, all these kind of GMO elements. And, for our body, that is very inflammatory and very disturbing. And then one of the main benefits that you can see for the skin from a vegan diet is your increase of vegetable intake, because a vegan diet should primarily be based on plant-based foods from whole source. So that is going to overall help ramp up your nutrient status. Your body's going to be able to digest and absorb much easier. But just overall, a plant-based diet is very beneficial for our general health. Now, that all sounds great, but what I've just gone through is not guaranteed with a vegan diet. Going on a vegan diet does not mean you are going to achieve everything I've just said. And this is what today's video is about. Okay, so to kick it off, let's talk about these fake meats. So if you are vegan and you are buying vegan sausages or vegan versions of bologneses, or you're going to the frozen section getting vegan meals, etc. The first thing to point out is a lot of fake meats are based on soy. Now, this is not the kind of soy that has the amazing phytoestrogen benefits for the body and actually can be beneficial for us. No. Fake meats are made with processed soy, and if you are eating, large quantities of these fake meats, maybe you're having it even possibly daily, this actually could be driving inflammation up in your body and can be very disruptive for your hormones as well. The second thing, which more than anything, these fake meats and these kind of alternative meals, especially because they are pre-made, are very highly processed. That is the issue as well with the soy. It's a processed soy, and that is the problem here. So it's these processed meals, which again, it's just driving inflammation. A lot of the time as well in processed foods, you get all those vegetable oils as well that get added in. And also you're gonna have a lot of salt and additives added to that to get that flavor, because, if you're eating a faux meat as well, they need to replicate that kind of meaty flavor as well. And altogether, this processed food, it's so low in nutrients, and it is actually just very inflammatory and not really offering any benefits for your body. The second thing you want to be watching out for in a vegan diet is the saturated fat. Now, I've just touched on, the processed foods can have a lot of the vegetable oils inside, and actually these processed foods can also be higher in that saturated fat side. But also you want to be careful of your vegan cheeses. So again, I see this a lot. So people go vegan and they just switch to vegan cheese, but go have a look what your vegan cheese is made out of. A lot of vegan cheese is actually made from coconut oil. Now, coconut oil is a healthy fat, it's a healthy food, do not get that wrong, but it's about moderation. And just remember, coconut oil is a saturated fat. So if you are eating vegan cheeses, or maybe you're having these kind of vegetable spreads, etc., think about how much you're having on a daily basis and how often in the week, because your saturated fat intake could actually be going so much higher than the average non-vegan what's the word? Research shows that too much saturated fat, can lead to certain diseases in the body, especially cardiovascular disease, etc. But we're looking really today at a acne point of view. And these saturated fats, they can really increase the sebum production on the skin, the inflammation in the body, and again, the two together, it's kind of a breeding ground for acne. Now, sticking with the fats, another thing you want to be mindful of is your omega-3 to omega-6 balance. This is not a new topic to my channel. I love to talk about this because it is so important for our cells. On a cellular level for our body, this is extremely important. Now, someone with a non-vegan diet who eats fish, for example, would be able to get their omega-3 needs through things like salmon, you know, all your oily fish basically. If you are vegan, you obviously are cutting out all those animal sources. You are going to be relying on your plant-based sources, which are quite limited. So they're things like walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds. Now, research shows the quantities of these you would need to be eating on a regular basis to reach your omega-3 to the majority of people is very unachievable. So already with a vegan diet, your omega-3 intake is, you know, in that danger area to be falling low. Now we're just going to park that for just a second because we also want to look at all the other elements of a vegan diet which can also be increasing our omega-6. You know, if you are eating all the, like I said, the processed foods, all the fake meats, you know, you're having lots of vegan cheeses, etc., your omega-6 levels are going to be significantly shot up and you have not got that many omega-3 sources to be really helping yourself to balance those out. Because from an acne perspective, when your omega-6 is high and your omega-3 is low, your body will be in a pro-inflammatory state. And just to remind everyone now, acne is multifactorial, but two massive elements that play a role in acne is hormonal balance and inflammation. And these are two things that can be easily disturbed through our diet, but at the same time, they're two things we can do so much in our diet to support. So your omega-3 to omega-6 is so important to get that balance to help reduce that inflammation in the body. So the next thing with an unhealthy vegan diet is, you know, ask yourself, what sources of carbohydrates are you having? Because carbohydrates are free for all for vegans, you know, they're not touched from animal products, so you really have got your, you know, the whole variety to choose from. But the question is what source are you going for? Basically, this is where the glycemic index comes in. Anything white, so your white rices, white pasta, white bread, white potatoes, etc., these are all what are known as high glycemic, and what that means is that basically when you consume them, your body essentially turns carbohydrates into sugar, but with a white source, so your high glycemic carbohydrates, they will spark your insulin very sharply. And what happens is that when you spark your insulin very sharply, you will then also get a crash afterwards, which might also explain if you feel a little bit tired after your meals, or, you know, get dips in the afternoon, have a look at your kind of glycemic intake during the day. But anyway, back to the carbohydrates. So when this happens with our insulin, from an acne perspective, what we want to avoid is blood sugar irregularity. We really want to keep it balanced, because when our blood sugar is not balanced, it can actually signal your ovaries to produce more testosterone, all the androgens in the body, which can contribute to acne. It can increase inflammation, and it can also increase the sebum production on the skin as well. Hello, clogged pores. Okay, and then my last thing to touch on before I go through how to do a vegan diet well is just look at your overall diet. Look at the variety. Is there variety? That's the question. And also, what sources of food are you having? You know, how much of the percentage of your diet is plant-based, or are you leaning more on those processed meals? Do you even check the ingredients? You know, are you looking at what you're putting in your body? Okay, so now I'm going to go through how to do a vegan diet well, because a vegan diet can be absolutely wonderful and have amazing effects on the body, but the key is you've got to do it well. Okay, so number one, whole foods. With a vegan diet, your diet should be primarily based on whole foods which are closest to their source. Instead of going for the processed stuff, fill your plate with real food which is going to be higher in nutrients. And also, when a food is closest to its natural source, it's so much easier for our body to digest, and like I kind of just said, it's higher in all the nutrients as well, so you're actually giving your body so much more nourishment as well. And it's also going to be kinder to your organs, so in terms of your detoxification of your body, that is also going to be enhanced as well. So that's number one. Number two, let's talk about carbs. Instead of going for this processed carbs, like even having a vegan slice of pizza or whatever, you know, pastas and all these kind of white flours and all this kind of stuff, switch that out. We don't want to be having that, and switch it for your complex carbs. And again, these are all considered whole foods as well, so having quinoa, some brown rice, you could have some buckwheat. You know, you can play around with these sources. Like I said earlier, you know, as a vegan, you have got so much choice when it comes to carbs. And more importantly, these complex sources of carbs are not going to spike your blood sugar balance. So if you are struggling with acne, it is going to be much kinder for your skin. Next up, we're talking about those fats. We've already touched on this briefly, so I'll keep this one short. But like I said earlier, focus on your plant-based versions of omega-3, so your walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds and hemp seeds, for example. But again, like I said, this might be where you might want to consider some omega-3 supplementation. But the other side to be looking at this is also being wary of your omega-6 intake. You know, look at the kind of oils you're cooking with, try and use extra virgin olive oil as much as possible. And also, if you're using vegan butters, look at the sources of oils in those as well. You can get different versions. I probably would go for an extra virgin olive oil one if you're going to go that way, but yeah, just have a look at it or use it very minimally. That's also probably a better way to go with those. Number 4, this is a big one, and it is protein. So with a vegan diet, it's very easy to not be hitting your protein needs. So loads of sources you can pick from a plant-based perspective. So beans, legumes, they are fantastic. You can really play around with the variety. Now you can also go for soy and tempeh, but make sure you go for organic soy and organic tempeh. These are fantastic for the body. They are sources of phytoestrogens, which means that they're good at balancing estrogen in the body. But they're also a fantastic source of protein, and they're very good for the gut as well. You've also got nuts and seeds. They will provide a bit of protein, so that is fine. Again, like I said earlier though, in moderation, just make sure you're not overdoing it with those. And one of my favourite plant-based protein snacks is hummus. Amazing, because it's actually a complete protein. So that's the only thing you've got to pay attention to with a plant-based like protein-led diet. You don't get all of the amino acids in one particular food, so you might need to eat a variety of different sources of protein to make up throughout the day your complete protein, basically. I hope that makes sense. Whereas, for example, if you're non-vegan and you eat a piece of meat, they're complete protein, so you get it all kind of in one go. Whereas on a plant-based diet, the variety, that word variety is coming back, is so key. So if you think you might not be reaching your protein intake in the day, then a supplement is a really good way to go. I personally like the brand Garden of Life. They are vegan, and they're really good, taste really good, and also is a very good formula because you've also got all the vitamins, minerals, I believe, and it's also got I think pre and probiotic enzymes as well, like digestive enzymes I think are in there. So yes, a really lovely blend. So I will leave my personal favourites down below, but there's so many on the market. The next thing to watch out for is don't go overboard on your vegan cheese. You know, look at that packet. What are the ingredients? Is it coconut oil, for example? Is it going to be increasing a lot of your saturated fat intake? You know, the best thing really in this area is just moderation. Do you know what I mean? Just you can have it, it's absolutely fine, but just don't be having it like 2-3 meals a day. Next up, I've got a little tip for anyone who's vegan. So with a vegan diet, it can sometimes be very easy to be low in your iron, depending on how well your body absorbs iron, because our bodies naturally do absorb plant-based iron much slower and harder than a heme-based iron, which is obviously from your meats, etc. But there's a little tip to help your absorption. So you can squeeze lemon juice, because lemon juice is rich in vitamin C, over your greens, because vegetable sources of iron, I'll pop on the screen right now, but they're predominantly in your kind of green leafy veg. If you squeeze lemon juice over the top, vitamin C helps your absorption of iron. So if you are vegan, that is a really great tip, and also just to help your body and support it to absorb that iron. And then the last thing to consider if you are vegan, and I'm sure this comes at no surprise, is, you know, maybe look into a B12 supplement. So B12, you know, you can find it in fortified food, but fortified food is going to be really in your processed category. So really, they're not like the most ideal sources. Just in general though, for a vegan, it is much harder to get your B12 and meet your needs because of the limited sources, and also the quality of these things are just not that great either. Even for a non-vegan, the quality of our sources of B12 are definitely decreased over time. So supplementation, if you are vegan, is something maybe to consider. But I will say, and that goes for all supplements I've spoken about in this video, if you're on any medications, definitely go see your GP first, and speak to someone before just going ahead and getting supplements, because you need to make sure if you are on medications, you've got nothing contradicting. That's a very important thing, and I think people forget that with supplements. They're not just things that, you know, you just go to the shop and you'll think, oh, I can just take as many as I want. No, they need to be treated with caution and care. If you enjoyed this video, I can definitely go into this deeper with you guys, and we can discuss this topic in much more detail. But yeah, this is just kind of a very broad overview of a vegan diet, things to watch out for, especially if you're suffering with acne, and how to lead a good, healthy vegan diet. I should have said this at the beginning, but I always forget. But if anyone is new to my channel, I am a registered naturopathic nutritionist, and I do offer one-to-one consultations. I specialise in acne, so if you are struggling with your skin and you want to work with me one-to-one, I will have all my details in the description box below. You can see everything on my website, www.ebonyjanehensler.com. And actually I've got a January offer which is literally ending this week, where my service is actually £30 cheaper than it normally is. So yeah, at the moment it's £150 instead of £180, and you can visit my website and see everything that's included. I mean, just to reel it off very quickly, get your initial consultation, follow-up, a feedback session, your full nutrition, health, lifestyle, skincare plan, and also discount on all your supplements as well. So yeah, you get quite a lot of support in there for the price. So yeah, check it out if you are interested, or just email me. Again, like I said, details are down below. If you aren't already, make sure you click subscribe for my channel so you don't miss any future videos. I post videos every Wednesday and Sunday at 5 PM. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Mwah. Bye.